Hello YouTube, this is Cole at the Schweers and Gears channel. Uh, just finished a video on the 1940 Chevy street rod engine removal and autopsy results. Check that out on my page. Um, I'd like to now talk about kind of the differences in the levels of projects that I've taken on and my experiences and my opinions on all of them. Um, I, I, I want to preface with the fact that, like I've said before, I am a total amateur. I'm a novice. I do this for fun, and I do it in my spare time when I have some. This car here, I was lucky enough to buy from a family friend, and a lot of really great work was done on it in the past, about 25, 30 years ago almost now. Um, but some of this stuff for a beginner could make it very, very challenging to restore and get back on the road. I've had a little bit of experience now for the past few years, 10 years or so, working on cars, old cars. Um, and I was able to figure them out. But if I was 16 years old, 17 years old, my first car, regardless of age, it would have been pretty challenging. So I'd like to begin with giving you guys a sneak peek on what's going to be coming soon on the channel, is a video about my 1970 Chevy C20. This is my C20 Longhorn pickup truck. My dad and I restored this truck. We started when I was a teenager, and it took us a few years. But this truck primarily was a remove and replace, remove, rebuild, and reinstall. Pretty much all the factory configuration, but with some good mild hop-ups. It was a much more accessible project to the average guy, or the first timer, I should say. This truck, I drive it all the time. It's very reliable. Doesn't get great gas mileage. It's a big block truck, but I love it nonetheless. And for my first project, it was really good. Tons of aftermarket support, which is critical if you're working on your first time vehicle, or you're an early in your experience vehicle. It LMC, Classic Industries, Year One, it just makes it really convenient to work on these things and upgrade them, restore them, however you like. And I recommend going with that stock type build with mild upgrades, and then some, as your first project, if you're taking on your first project. Because really, it's all about keeping your spirits up, keeping yourself motivated to work on the car, and having a good time. And nobody likes having cars sitting around unusable. My 40 Chevy, as an example, things that made it more difficult to work on: Mustang 2 front suspension, easy enough. Mustang 2 brakes, easy enough. Can't quite see it underneath there, but it's got an under the floorboards brake booster and master cylinder, and a very, very cool early 90s linkage setup to make that all function. Now, that isn't Mustang 2, that's 1970 Mustang. I had to figure that out just kind of the hard way. Going to parts stores, looking online, comparing any identifying numbers that I could find on it. And eventually, ironically, it was an AutoZone employee who helped me figure out that it was a 1970 booster. So we got that all sorted out, but it wasn't the same. This car, as you can see, it's got these very 1990s prime wheels on it. Those are going to be replaced. They're of different widths and different offsets, front and rear. The car has aftermarket fiberglass fenders. It has a 9-inch rear end, great upgrade, that I really like, but it's off of another car, so there's no forum in the world that I could go on to figure out what wheels are going to fit on this thing. I have to have the hard measurements. I have to understand back spacing, axle width, the offset that the brakes may provide. It's all a little more complicated, not much, but if you're a first timer, that may be a make it or break it. That may be a frustration point for you, not knowing exactly what's on your car, or not having those additional resources to say, hey, 4-inch back spacing weld whatever wheel fits right on there. not too difficult to figure out, but also, like I said, it's just the time. It's the time and the knowledge and knowing where to measure. Not everybody does. I've had to learn myself. Volkswagens, another great way to enter the hobby or for a first-time project. My 58 Baja Bug, as you guys have seen, excuse me, is heavily modified, and I received it fairly heavily modified. I've done a lot more to it and had a lot more done to it. But you know, Volkswagen community, the Volkswagen platform has been done every which way under the sun for decades and decades and decades now. You can pretty much research via the forums, online, swap meets, word of mouth, etc., what you're going to need and what your setup's going to be capable of, and the parts that are going to be required. It's an easy enough platform to do whatever you want with, and it's even more so. It's just Legos. Stuff goes together and comes off real simply for the first timer. And the Volkswagen has been the Volkswagen platform in general has been historically a very good first car. Something that I'm doing, that I'm learning, is, as you can see here, I've got my Dicom and I've got my ports etched out. A little bit of port matching. So here's a wind. It's a 7546. I believe these are called the accelerator. Single plane intake manifold for a small block Chevy. In my previous video, you saw that Clay Smith ported some heads for me. It's a business down here, a very famous business in Southern California. These are the gaskets that they ported the head to. So I'm matching it on the intake manifold. This is going to be used for initial break-in and of the cam and running the motor for hood clearance. You did see in my last video that we are going to be running the tunnel ram and dual quads. We'll set this all up once the cam is broken in and I figure out if this is going to fit under the hood or not. Probably not. So we may have some cutting to do. I've never port matched anything. I've never ported anything. This is a new experience for me. In preparation to do a lot of this work, my dad helped me run copper airlines all through my garage, back to my 60-gallon compressor. I had a sub panel wired up in here, and I've got my air filter dryer set up over in that corner. So it's been a fair amount of preparation to get to this point of getting the car where it's at, but it's all going very well. I will show you the results of this port matching in a future video when we get that all done. There's the flywheel up to 350. That's going to be going on my 377 because it's internally balanced. Anyway, guys, that's my kind of rant on project planning, on picking your project. Don't be intimidated. You could probably jump into a heavily modified car and figure it out for your first time. I could be totally wrong, but this has been my experience. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let me know what you want to talk about, what you want to hear about, and don't have too much fun out there. I'm out.